silly little story of when my mom and I were mistaken by. She works almost every day until 6 p.m. and sometimes buys things from near her work to take back home. But she has problems carrying heavy things, so when that happens, I go to the bus stop to wait for her and walk home together. That day wasn't the exception. I met her at the bus stop and carries her backpack all the way home. I don't recall what were we talking about, but we were having a good time together and holding hands, something we do on public. Nothing weird when your mother is basically your best friend. And then a guy walking the opposite directions looks at us and says to my mom, "Lad, what a fine girlfriend you've scored." My husband is a smart man, I promise. So I was out doing yard work and my husband saw my birth control alarm go off on my phone, so he decided to bring it out to me. As he was walking outside, he just out of habit accidentally forgot what he was doing and took my pill. In his defense, he takes a lot of vitamins each day. He walks over to me with a panicked look on his face telling me he took it. He asked me if he was going to die and what's going to happen to him now. I tell him nothing and he's fine, but ask how in the hell he managed to do that. He doesn't believe me and goes to the side yard and tries to make himself throw up. So I sat there just dying laughing while he was wrenching behind me. I just saw him again and he apologized for his unhinged and rabid behavior from earlier. A sticker of a corgi saved my relationship with my sister. So I and my stepsister have always been very close from the get-go. So imagine my surprise when I texted her at the beginning of the month and she had ignored me. I tried texting her a couple times after that, but she never responded. I let this go for a while, knowing that the time difference between us can be issue. I live in England and she lives in America. I felt a little butthurt about the whole situation, but gave her space. Today I sent her message that was one of those stickers that you can get in the App Store, the corgi sticker. She finally responded not long after, and why she had been ignoring me. Like and subscribe for part 2. A sticker of a corgi saved my relationship with my sister, part 2. Turns out one of our siblings changes my contact name to Queen Elizabeth, but she didn't see the Queen part and thought that it was some random person trying to talk to her. She had gone to our older sister saying that I had blocked her because she couldn't find my contact anywhere in her phone. We laughed about it for a good 10 minutes, theorizing about different scenarios like, what if we got our parents involved? Or if we accidentally stopped talking to each other for good? All in all, we caught up and gushed about our favorite topics, and I asked for permission to put this on Reddit to give a little joy and this hilarious incident. Is Disneyland a park? One day my friends and I were admitted into Disneyland. If you don't know, Disneyland has serious security. Anywho, my friends and I started some light roughhousing between each other before going into the main park. Two dudes with Secret Service-style earbuds dressed like men in black show up. Settle down. What do you think this is? A park? We gave lies of apology and settled down, but couldn't stop laughing at security asking if we thought this was a park. It's literally the Disneyland theme park. True story, was in the supermarket when a kid came skipping by me at a high rate of speed. When I pulled up the next tile, she was lying there flat on her face, not moving. Some people walked up and bent over to see if she was okay. Just at that moment, the PA announced clean up in all 11. I did everything to hold my laughter back, but the kid got up and skipped away and was just kidding. That's when I started pissing myself laughing. Never leave dogs alone. Once me and my friends were hanging out and vibing. Until we had to go next door to my place. We're neighbors anyway. We got to my house to grab something. I forgot what it was. We left and we're entering my friend's house. Then we walked back to their room to play PS3. By the way, we enter their room and their pit bull had made a poop surprise on the bed. This was a new mattress too. So the first thing I did was die laughing. I'm still laughing trying to write this. Anyway, they cleaned it up and I don't know what happened after though. My brother ran out of school because he saw a ghost. Back when my middle brother was a high school junior, he watched tons of those scary video comps on YouTube. He's Orthodox and the rest of my family is Protestant. My annoying teenage self and my mom told him to stop because it was keeping him up at night. One morning his math class had a sub. He looked out the window. As sleep deprived as he was, he hallucinated a ghost. He then proceeded to run out of the school to Waffle House. They found him, brought him back, and told my mother. They were aware he had religious beliefs. Yeah, my mom got onto him for it. Guy in the next urinal switches mid-pee to another urinal. Pretty funny. And short story, there were 3 urinals, and I took the far left. Another guy was in the far right. This guy comes up and takes the middle urinal. The guy on the right urinal finishes and leaves so mid-pee and wiener out. This guy runs to the right urinal. I don't really know why he did this, but funny nonetheless. Unexpected act. Traversing the rain-soaked streets on my scooter, I found refuge beneath the shelter of a roadside shop. Lighting a cigarette, I welcomed the peaceful patter of raindrops, lost in thought. Suddenly, a cry pierced the tranquility. I turned to see a girl in distress, grappling with a young man who had snatched her bag. Reacting instinctively, I intervened, causing the thief to stumble. Amidst the chaos, I realized it was not a real theft, but a street play. Laughter replaced the girl's cries, and I found myself caught in the unexpected drama. Releasing the actor with a sheepish smile, I retreated to the shop, reflecting on the surprising turn of events. In that fleeting moment, I became unwittingly entangled in a simple yet vivid portrayal of city life, a reminder of the unpredictability that often colors our everyday experiences. 9 is the highest number. As a kid, me and my classmates were like, 9 is the highest number because then you go back to digits that are under 9, and we weren't technically wrong because when you reach 999, then 1000 the digits go back to a single one, and 3 zeros, and 9 is the highest digit. Like for example, on a calculator, it goes up all the way to 9, and then resets back to 0, and then 1 and up. I used to be a terrible person, and now I'm having trouble getting over the guilt. Long story short, I used to be a very bad person. I think I've come to terms with this realization about a year ago, and ever since then, I have struggled to move on. I was terrible to others, people I loved, to myself. I was and still feel like I am mad at everything. I feel like, when I was a bit younger, I did not care about others' feelings. I barely understood the concept of true kindness and compassion. Whenever I was kind, I feel like it came from a place of me wanting to just be a people pleaser. I am trying to put the work in and be a kinder person today by doing random acts of kindness, being as nice as I can to everyone, doing things in general that just feel good, but it feels like it won't ever be enough. The guilt of the things I've done is still present, and I don't know how to make it go away. Will there ever be a way to make it go away? I stole $9 of someone's prepaid gas, and I lied about it when I was asked. I was going to a gas station to fill up and pulled up, and I put my card in, and thought I had paid for the gas, but I guess someone had prepaid to that pump, and I pumped, and it stopped after $9. So I reinserted my card, and was about to start pumping, when a gas station attendant came, and asked if I had pumped. I did lie. I kinda panicked, and said no, and that I had just inserted my card. So the attendant said, well, I'm going to check the cameras, and left, and I finished pumping, and drove off. I know I should have been honest, but I panicked. I'm terrified, I'm going to get in trouble, and I feel horrible for lying, but once I realized what I did, I panicked. I ripped out a girl's hair, because I couldn't roast her. When I was 11 or 12, I don't remember, I ended up in a roast battle with a 13-year-old girl from my neighborhood. I was losing badly, in front of about 5 of my close friends, and extremely embarrassed. Things slowly got more aggressive, and it was at the point where everyone around me was making fun of me. I, at the time, was not taking any medicine for my anger issues, which are now treated much better. I took aggression and went to tackle her. Everyone was yelling at me, telling me to stop, but at that point I didn't care. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know that this incident caused that girl to move out with a bunch of bruises, cuts, and about half of the hair, which I was told she spent almost her whole life growing, pulled out by me. That day I lost 6 friends. My mom spent thousands on rehab. I can't tell her I relapsed. I was a hard user for 6 years and needed to get out of state to get sober. She spent her entire inheritance on my rehab. My sobriety is so important to her, myself of course, and everyone around us. I'm a totally different person than I was before. I used drugs because I was sad, and now I'm not. So when I started smoking weed again, it didn't lead to other things, and it never got out of hand. I smoked once or twice on the weekends at my boyfriend's house, and occasionally microdose at home before bed. Like and subscribe for part 2. My mom spent thousands on rehab. I can't tell her I relapsed part 2. After a few months of that, I found out I was pregnant, and immediately stopped. Who knows, maybe it saved me from things eventually getting out of hand. My son is now 13 months old, and I'm still exclusively breastfeeding him, so I continue to stay away from the weed. I think maybe one day, once he's weaned, I'll enjoy a little gummy here and there if it doesn't eat my conscience alive, because I don't think I can ever tell my family. It's hard to explain to people the idea that a little weed won't hurt, because I'm using it for a different reason than I was before. I'm not trying to cover up any feelings. I'm not trying to escape reality. I just like to chill and have a little giggle and a yummy snack every once in a while. But once you've stolen thousands of dollars, precious family heirlooms, and several cars, gone to jails and rehabs and drug courts, and almost died, any type of drug use, legal or not, is hard to justify. Covered in piss, surrounded by 4 cops. The boys and I had just finished up our work for the week and wanted to change the scenery up a bit. MCAS Cherry Point and C gets boring over time. We decided to have a night of drinking over in a college town about 2 hours away called Greenville, NC, Brandon. My friend Marcello and myself made our way over and proceeded to drink the night away. Fast forward a few hours, Brandon and I are vibing out in a small little college bar in Greenville, chatting with some dude that sounds Like Boomhauer from King of the Hill, we could barely contain our laughter and were already crazy drunk, so we decided to leave the bar and go home. Like and subscribe for part 2. Covered in piss surrounded by 4 cops part 2. At this point, we're walking down the street talking and laughing when my buddy Brandon turns to me and says, "Hey man, wanna pull up the car? I'm confident with your manual driving now. You seem to be pretty good at it." I go, "Sure, I'll go grab it right now." He hands me the keys. I feel amazing because I had always wanted to learn manual, and here I am being entrusted with doing so, a biggest compliment ever. So I walk alone over to his sports car, unlock it, hop in, almost stall the car in first gear, drive off, and look for Brandon so we can head home. Except I search for Brandon, and he's nowhere to be found. We have royally fucked up. I'm intoxicated behind the wheel of a car that isn't mine, and I can't find my friend. Blacking in and out of consciousness, I go looking for Brandon. Like and subscribe for part 3. Covered in piss surrounded by 4 cops part 3. The next concrete memory I have is waking up surrounded by police officers covered in my own piss. I wake up dumbfounded. Where the hell am I? What is going on? Is this a dream? I talk to the police officers and try to figure out what is going on. They say, I ended up in the auditorium of the college campus and fell asleep. I have no idea how I ended up here. The officers ask, "Is that your car outside?" It looks pretty damaged. I look at the car they're talking about. It's Brandon's car. Lots of front end damage. I say, "No officer, that's not my car." They proceed to contact the owner of the car, Brandon. Brandon covers for me, tells the officers I hadn't been driving last night, and basically saves me from jail. Dog ate my work literally. At the time I was construction project manager. The projects were huge and required a lot of paperwork. Once a week or so I would send the paperwork to my boss. I'm in the US and the company is headquartered in Canada. At the time I had a young pit bull puppy in the house. Pit bulls get a bad rap, but if you raise them properly, are some of the best family dogs. I had just come home from work and had my reports spread out on the bed when my puppy runs in with a case of the zoomies. Before I knew what happened, she was jumping on the bed and was shredding my reports, gleefully. Thankfully I corralled her before it was a total loss. Many of the reports had measurements I couldn't take again. My boss called looking for my paperwork. I explained that it was gonna be late thanks to the puppy. He was laughing. "Let me get this straight. Your dog ate your homework." Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was able to salvage my reports enough to redo them, and that dog grew to be one beautiful soul.
I've been a habitual liar for my whole life. I don't understand why. I lie about things that don't have any significance for literally no apparent reason, and I'm stressed because I don't know how to stop. I'm even having a hard time admitting it. I know I'm gonna be told I should see a therapist about it, and I will, but just talking about it makes me cringe. I have no idea why. I never lie about things that actually matter because I have no reason to. I catch myself lying about certain things to catch people's attention and or make myself seem more interesting so I am more likable or relatable. I think it has something to do with me not being comfortable with who I really am. I've become more comfortable within the past few years. Instead of admitting my lies, I've just started doing some of the things I lied about. An example would be telling someone I play a lot of sports. Why? Even though I don't. Recently, I just started playing things like basketball and tennis. It may stem from my childhood since my mom would always lie to family and friends to look better, but deep down, I've lost $200,000 in the past 3 years gambling. I have a serious gambling problem and I'm not sure who to go anymore. It all started in the middle of COVID with $25 here and there, betting on sports and playing blackjack for fun. Never really was a big issue. Never betting more than I could handle. I have a great job. That pays me $100,000 plus a year. I still live at home and pay the little necessities like rent and bills. Like and subscribe for part 2. I've lost $200,000 in the past 3 years gambling part 2. In 2022, it got bad. I lost about $80,000 without anybody knowing. My entire life savings gone. I called 1-800 Gambler, got myself banned from my respective state from all casinos and online, and even told my mother about it. I was doing good for about 3 months and then 2023 hit and I found this app where I could bet cryptocurrency. So I started there, entering in $500 here and there. I want help. I know I need help, and I get into these moods where I just can't stop even though I know it's bad. I can't help myself. I make up an accent for work. I genuinely haven't told anyone this, which is why my heart is racing as I write this. I work on the sales floor at this one store, but before all of that, I was just one person doing interviews for jobs at the store. A friend of mine dared me to interview with a British accent before I even showed up for the interview. To my surprise, they sent me about $10 through Venmo after I indicated I'd only do it if they paid me, which was more than enough for me. I went into the interview believing that I would not be hired, but to my surprise, I was employed right away. With all the accent, I was anxious because... Like and subscribe for part 2. I make up an accent for work. I genuinely haven't told anyone this. Part 2. I had spoken with so many people already, a group of superiors who spoke with an accent, and made the decision to move forward, believing it would only be a summer employment. I made a huge mistake. I've been working there for almost 7 months, and I still speak with the accent. I simply tell people where I'm from when they ask, since I grew up with a number of Brits from that town. My boyfriend is friends with one of my co-workers, so the accent hasn't really been an issue up until now. I'll have to find the proper moment to come clean though. I appreciate you attending my TED Talk. I drowned myself so a hot lifeguard would hold me. So this happened when I was 10, I think. I could always swim, and I went to vacation with friends' family. Went beach and saw this hot lifeguard. I'd never felt so enamored by another man before. I wanted him to hold me. I tried talking to him, but he was distant and focused. However, even then, he was sweet and patient, and I remember he said he liked anime, and that was all I needed. I think he was maybe 17.